Hello and welcome to a video with me, Raindale. Today we're taking a look at the two new Vision cards that are coming to War of the Vision Global and analyzing what you actually get compared to other currently available options and whether it's worth pulling for them or not, depending on your account. So let's jump into it. And the first card we'll take a look at is the Omega card. I think it's the one that's the most highly anticipated among both, but they really both have their niche and are the best in what they do. So what the Omega card provides, mainly, is a big boost to dark/attackers. And there are so many dark/attackers in the game that it's one of those element-exclusive cards that is the easier to use. And then it also mitigates some of those dark/attackers' weaknesses by providing them with some magic resistance, some light resistance, and also just some HP in general. So overall, it's very good in terms of what it does. If we take a look at its general stats, well, it has okay-ish HP. Now that we enter the EX Job era, I don't care that much about the HP that you get on a card. When character is going to battle with 4 to 6 to 8,000 HP, the 2 to 300 that you're getting on a card doesn't have that much impact at the very end. The attack from the Omega card is not the greatest. If we're comparing it to other physical attack cards, a lot of them get to the 160, 170 range, whereas this is at 142, so not the highest, but it does have some nice agility, which is always fun. There aren't that many ways to manipulate turn order, and having agility on a card can allow you to make sure that the critical character acts before another and casts a buff before going in, or whatever else you want your AI to do. Then you also get 5 Spirit, which will help whatever character has this card survive magic attacks. And right now, magic attacks are basically everywhere in Arena, so that's a good thing. And in terms of the comparable cards, well, I've compared this to Irresistible Darkness, because Irresistible Darkness is a dark offensive card. It provides attack and magic resistance, whereas Omega provides slash attack and magic resistance. They have their similarities, and I want to point out, if you do have a maxed out Irresistible Darkness, the marginal gain that you have might not be the best. These cards go very well together. One of them provides attack, the other slash attack, but you're kind of wasting the magic resistance part because it's on both cards. So I'm not sure how frequently you'll run them together. So we've seen the stats. Not a terrible card, right? Agility and Spirit are really good, so already here we have some very positive things. But let's look at the abilities. And that's really where this card gets a huge boost. So individual ability are only for dark units. That's the trend we're getting for vision cards nowadays. So dark units equipping this card will gain 8% agility. We'll take a look at what 8% agility means for some popular dark characters in a minute. But until then, we'll also get some global exclusive light resistance up and then HP up. Now, we don't know those amounts. I can issue a guess where I'm thinking this will probably be around 10% HP, 10% light resist. Maybe they'll surprise me by giving more, but honestly, these are just weak points in general for dark units, right? They're weak to light, and typically they are not the tankiest of characters aside from Dwayne, so that's a really nice boost to try to make sure they don't get one-shot possibly by other light units. And then the party ability for dark units is 35 slash attack up. That is the same amount that you would gain from a maxed out Echoing Streams card. So again, we have the tendency where this elemental exclusive card is as strong as a non-elemental exclusive card in one area, but then has some other bonuses on top. And those other bonuses here are 13% HP, which is nice. It's not an incredibly high amount, but it's a little bit more bulk on top of your character. And then the part that people are most excited about, I think, is the 20% magic resist, because a lot of the dark units have an innate weakness to magic, but even if they have an innate resistance to magic, resisting one of the most popular damage types in the game is going to be good in a lot of content. So that's one of the major upsides of the Omega card. I want to take a look at what 13% HP and 8% agility means. And first the HP, because that's given in the party ability, so every one of your units will have that. And depending on the unit, right, it's going to be somewhere between 250 and all the way to 350, 377 for Dwayne, who's one of the tankiest dark characters. So how frequently in fight do you survive with less than 400 HP. It does happen, but in my experience, quite frequently when my units go down, the hit that kills them overkills them by a large margin. So I don't think this amount of HP will be impactful in every single match, but once in a while it will have an impact, and you'll be glad to have that little bit of extra HP because it means you can take one extra hit. What I'm really excited about though is the 8% agility. Now keep in mind, this is for the individual unit, so you're only getting it on the person that equips the card, but the Omega card already gives 3 points of agility in itself, in its base stats. So with this extra 4 that we're getting, because 8% agility is 4 for just about every unit I compared, it will be less, I guess, for some MR and lower units or some very slow, but for all of these I was surprised to see that they all gain the same amount of agility from it. Xiza was at 4.97, so very close from gaining that 5th point, but didn't get there. So yeah, 7 agility is a lot. It's enough to possibly go before an enemy, or enough to make sure that your character with an AoE buff goes before the other guys, as I was saying. So that goes a long way to help you manipulate AI as well. So that's it for the for the stats. Now, what's my verdict for the card? Well, it's a tough call because it's a great card. It has incredible base stats. There are so many dark slashers in the game that it's not going to be difficult to find use for it, right? When we were looking at Tsuteki Dane, I was like, there's not that many water slash units yet, but this one, we already can run a full party of dark slashers, so it's not hard to find use for it. And then it helps mitigate their main weaknesses, which is light and magic in general. It's also very strong versus Yuna and Sakura right now, who are all the rage in Arena, so it's going to help you fight them for as long as they're very popular. And then the drawbacks, I guess, is that they're limited to dark units. And then it overlaps with existing options. If you have a maxed out Irresistible Darkness, I'm not sure how much the marginal gain is worth investing in this card. You do get the option of manipulating agility, a bit more magic resistance, and then slash attack is different from attack. But overall, you already have a very good dark offense card, which provides some magic resistance on top. So I'm not sure how much it's worth it for those guys that do have that. But if you don't have Irresistible Darkness, and you are a player that loves running dark teams and are playing Runesturn, Venera, name it, all the time, then I think you should definitely go for it, because this card will be unbeaten for dark teams for a long while. I don't think there's anything better yet in JP, as long as you're running physical, of course, dark characters. So overall, yeah, if you're a big fan of dark units, go for it. You will not regret it. But I do want to say this is not time limited. You don't have to get it now, you don't have to max it now. I'm still not sure if I'll go for it immediately. I know I'll definitely slow build it, but there are other time-limited collaborations incoming, and other Megamont, and then Black Rose Helena, so there will be a lot of things that will keep drying up your viz as we go. So if you're not a heavy spender or somebody with a lot of resources saved, now might not be the best time to go for that card. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the Flash of Insight cards now. And I think it's a very impressive one in terms of base stats. We're comparing it to Ifrit because both cards give attack up, and then other options that provide offense for light units and evasion. So that's the whole reason these cards are on the board right now. And if we look, Flash of Insight has good HP, pretty good attack at 152, but also 28 luck, and I want to zero in on that because it's a card that's centered around evasion. 28 luck is more or less 14 more evasion against your opponents. And that's not exact. I will put a link in the description if you want to take a look at what the exact formula for accuracy and evasion is on warofthevision.info, because they have a good resource for that. But overall, 28 luck is about 14 more evasion, so that's already pretty good, especially considering the fact that the card itself gives 20 evasion to light parties in general. So the person equipping this will gain all the way up to 34 more evasion just from that card. That's very high. And then the other abilities, well, it's a bit complicated because a lot of the exclusive abilities are tailored towards one character. So let's dive into that. If you are a light character, you gain 20 slash resistance penetration. That means that if you're attacking an enemy with, say, 20% slash resistance, well, you're going to ignore 1/5 of that 20%. It doesn't mean that you're cutting like a -20 from their slash resistance. You are ignoring 1/5 of whatever slash resistance the enemy has. If they don't have a slash resistance, you're not going into the negatives either. So you don't gain benefits from this specific ability unless the enemy has actual resistance to slashing. Then, if you're a katana user, you gain access to one new ability that is crazy strong. It will take the element of the user, but honestly, you're probably not going to run this card if it's not on a light character anyways. So that has a 200 to 240% mod, so that's very, very high. It's a single target attack with a high damage modifier. That's also a guaranteed hit. Now, this card is really designed around Robb Hourne, as we could tell from the image, and Robb does not have another guaranteed hit ability, so that's another great addition to his kit. It makes him more versatile as an attacker, and it helps him fight enemies that he could otherwise not fight easily. Then, Robb specifically will also get slash attack up. Again, we don't know what the amount is. I'm thinking it's going to be around the 20 range, but they might surprise me, I don't know. But that's going to make him even stronger when he has this card equipped. And then the party ability is also very, very good. You give 50% attack up to all your light characters. Now, we have a ton of light physical attackers in the game right now, right? There's Warrior of Light, Elsirel, Thancred, Cecil, Ramza, you name it, there is a lot of options. So multiple characters are going to benefit from this card. And then seeing the tendency to place protagonists into light or dark, I'm thinking a lot of future characters will also be light slash attackers. It's just so common in War of the Vision right now. The party ability also provides 10 critical evasion. That means that you have less chance of getting crit by your enemies. Good, but definitely not game-changing. The 20 evasion up, however, is really nice. I find that especially in the EX era right now, a lot of the characters have a lot more innate luck, and characters that are not EX have some accuracy issues sometimes. So if you're running this card in a Yuna team, for example, your Yuna already has quite a bit of luck, then you're giving her a little bit more evasion on top of that, so you might get a couple lucky misses even on your non-evasion characters. And then of course for your character that is designed for evasion, well, that 20 evasion is going to be very, very good. So overall, very strong abilities that quite a few characters can benefit from. And let's talk about what 50% attack means. Well, for Robb, with his EX job, of course, it's 153, so it's a pretty high amount, right? That's almost as much as what he'll get from his weapon, so very, very high. Cecil and Elsirel, around 130, so that's still quite a lot. And if you were to run this on Warrior of Light, well, it's still 116, so overall, 50% attack is a lot, no matter which UR character you're taking a look at. Some of the MR characters have much lower attack at like 160, 170, so they won't benefit from it that much, but if we're looking at URs, it's a really good buff. So overall, what's my verdict? Well, it's a tough call. So It's BIS for Robb. If you have EX Robb and you want to keep using him and you enjoy him, go for that card, you will not regret it. The stats are great for him, the ability is also incredible, and then it makes his evasion much more reliable, so very, very good. And then it's also good for light physical teams in general, right? Because 50% attack on all your light characters is really good. And as I mentioned earlier, a bit of evasion on all your characters is never a bad thing. Then the drawbacks though is that it's light exclusive, so you won't benefit from it all the time. Also, it provides very little benefits aside from the evasion for mages, so you don't have such a great synergy for your other, for your Yuna and your Sakura if you are planning on running an all-light squad. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have, for example, the Signs of Shadow card with light attack up, then you're giving something that benefits every member of your party, whereas with this card, attack up won't really help your other guys, right? And then finally, it's really designed for Robb, so while there are other characters that will benefit from this card, if you don't plan on using Robb Hourne, or because there aren't other light katana users in the game right now, right? So if you're not planning on using Robb, you're not making full use of what this card can offer. And at that point, I'm not convinced it's worth the investment of pulling the card and then maxing it for a card that you're not going to leverage completely. So myself, I'm going to skip that. I do not have EX Robb. I don't plan on building him in the short term at the very least, and I have other cards that can provide attack up and that are not element limited. But that's just for my account, so there we go. So overall, two very strong cards in their specific niche. I think that Omega is going to be easier to use because it's not limited to really one character, but rather one element, and I think most players have a couple dark/attackers that they've built over time. But both cards are the best at what they do, so they're still cards that we should slowly build, even if we don't go for them right now. So that's it from me, guys. Hopefully you learned a thing or two and it's going to help with your decision making. Please let me know, are you going to get them? Am I crazy of wanting to skip possibly some of them? And then, yeah, if you had a good time, please like and subscribe. It will make it more likely that you see my videos in the future. And as always, thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of your day.